They mocked his rifle. A cheap mail-order gun, not standard issue, not military approved. In a war defined by mass production and regulation steel, it looked out of place, almost foolish. While other men carried government-issued M1 Garands fresh from Springfield Armory, Private First Class Daniel Mercer held on to a slim, walnut-stocked bolt-action rifle he had ordered years earlier from a thick, dog-eared sporting goods catalog. It had arrived at his family farm in a wooden crate packed with grease and paper. He had used it to hunt deer in the autumn fog and coyotes under pale Midwestern moons. Now it rested in the steaming jungles of the Pacific in 1944. And within days, that rifle would become one of the deadliest weapons on the battlefield. This is the story of how a quiet American infantryman, armed not with regulation firepower, but with something deeply personal, eliminated 11 Japanese snipers in 4 relentless days during one of the most brutal island campaigns of the Second World War. It is a story of patience measured in heartbeats, of fear held in check by discipline, of precision demanded by survival, and of how, sometimes, instinct outruns doctrine.
Little did the men around him know, what happened next would become legendary. The setting was the Central Pacific, early July 1944. The beaches behind them were still scarred by shell craters and burned landing craft.
Inland, the fight had changed. No longer waves and machine guns. Now it was silence and shadows. U.S. Army and Marine units were advancing inland from recently secured shores, pushing toward a chain of jungle-covered ridgelines that dominated the island's interior.
The Imperial Japanese Army had retreated there deliberately. High ground meant visibility. Jungle meant concealment.
The terrain was unforgiving.
Thick canopies swallowed sunlight, turning midday into a dim green twilight.
Visibility shrank to mere yards. Every tree trunk looked like a potential rifle barrel.
Every tangle of vines could conceal a man trained to kill with one shot.
Humidity rotted web gear within days. Leather mildewed. Ammunition rusted. Sweat never dried. Rain came without warning. Hard, vertical sheets that flooded foxholes and filled boots with mud.
More than one shallow defensive position became a muddy grave when artillery struck and collapsed the walls inward.
Japanese defenders, short on artillery and fuel, but rich in experience, adapted with ruthless efficiency.
They relied heavily on snipers, camouflaged marksmen positioned in trees, concealed spider holes, and elevated ravines.
Their mission was simple: paralyze American movement through fear.
A single well-placed bullet could halt an entire platoon.
And it often did. Attached to one of the advancing infantry battalions was Private First Class Daniel Mercer, age 26.
He was not loud. He was not decorated. He was not seeking attention. A former farmhand from the American Midwest, Mercer had grown up waking before dawn and working until dark.
He understood patience the way others understood speed.
Hunting had been necessity, not sport.
Ammunition cost money. Shots had to count.
He rarely spoke unless necessary.
But he observed everything. When he enlisted in 1942, he passed marksmanship qualification with ease. Yet instead of discarding his civilian rifle when issued standard equipment, he kept it.
Somehow, through paperwork confusion and the indifference of overworked supply clerks, the rifle followed him overseas.
It was a simple bolt action chambered in a common American caliber. No telescopic sight.
Just fine iron sights, carefully filed and adjusted from years of use.
The wooden stock bore small dents from fence posts and tractor rails. The bolt cycled smoothly, almost silently. It was not regulation.
And it drew ridicule.
"Planning to hunt deer out here, Mercer?" one corporal joked.
"Mail-order war hero," another laughed.
Mercer never responded. He simply cleaned the rifle, oiled the bolt, and waited. He did not have to wait long. By 1400 hours on July 9th, the battalion had advanced less than 600 yards in 6 grinding hours. Every attempt to move triggered gunfire. Sharp cracks echoed through the trees.
The sound of a high-velocity round snapping past a helmet became sickeningly familiar. Men dropped without warning. Sometimes there was no visible shooter, just a body collapsing into mud. Japanese snipers worked in pairs. One fired to draw attention. The other watched for movement.
If a medic rushed forward, he became the next target. If a squad leader raised his head to shout orders, a shot followed.
By mid-afternoon, casualties mounted. 3 men killed. 5 wounded. No confirmed enemy positions. The jungle felt alive, hostile, breathing. Fear gripped the men. Even veterans who had stormed beaches now hesitated to lift their heads above fallen logs.